This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Welcome to the award-winning Rich in Life podcast. We're the podcast that dives deep into the true meaning of wealth. We're going beyond money. We're going into mindset, purpose, and the choices that shape our success. In each episode, we're going to bring you inspiring stories, expert insights, and the real conversation to help you build a life that's rich in every way. So get ready to elevate your thinking, embrace new possibilities, and unlock the wealth that truly matters. So sit back, tune in, and let's learn how to be rich in life. I've been sitting with this idea for a while, and not because it's complicated or some big mystery or some big secret that I've been keeping, but because it's honest in a way that actually makes me feel a little uncomfortable. A few months ago, I was talking with a friend. We were mid-coffee, chatting about all things life, kids, business, just one of those conversations where you're half venting, but also half processing what you're saying and the questions that they're asking you. I was listing things off without really thinking about it, of like the day-to-day things, clients, work projects, kids' schedules, ideas I haven't even touched yet, but felt responsible for, things I was excited about, things I felt behind on, and things I didn't want to drop, but also didn't really want to carry. And literally in the middle of my sentence, she stopped me and said, "Where do you find the capacity?" And I remember laughing like a reflex laugh, not like a funny, you just told a funny joke laugh. You know, the more the kind that you do when someone mirrors something back to you that you haven't even really looked at yet. Because honestly, I get that question a lot. And from the outside, I get why people ask it. It can look like I'm doing a lot. It looks like I'm holding a lot, managing a lot, like I've figured something out. But what stuck with me actually wasn't the question itself that she asked. It was the assumption underneath of it. Like that capacity is something that you have, something you're born with, or something you either manage well or you don't. But it's actually not how capacity works. So here's what I've noticed in myself and in almost every ambitious, capable person that I know. Most people who feel overwhelmed aren't actually overwhelmed because they're weak or disorganized or even bad at time management. They're overwhelmed because they're over-allocated. They've given pieces of themselves to too many things. They've given away too many coins, as I like to say. Some are meaningful, some are outdated, some are chosen, and some never are consciously chosen at all. We're just going through the movement, and it all feels important when you're inside of it. And that's really the tricky part, is getting outside of it. I see this pattern constantly. People doing a lot, trying hard, caring deeply. Their days are full. Their calendars are full. Their brains are full. And they're exhausted. Because when you actually look at what they're doing, they're not actually closer to the life that they truly want. They're responding. They're tending. They're maintaining. They're managing expectations. They're being responsible. They're doing all the things that they think that they're supposed to do. They're carrying the things that quietly drain them. The things that made sense once, sure, but don't quite fit anymore. And they haven't actually taken the time to look at the things that they're doing throughout their day and their life. And because they're moving all day long, because effort is happening, because they're checking things off of their list and getting things done, because y'all know I love a good list, it feels productive. Busy is so convincing like that. Busy gives you a sense of worth. Busy gives you proof that you showed up and did something. Busy gives you something to the point when you're tired. But busy doesn't always move your life forward in the way that you want it to. Sometimes it just keeps it exactly where it is. And I'm about to tell you something, so brace yourself, because people don't love to hear this. But I promise you that you probably felt it in your body. You feel it in your nervous system. You feel it in your bones and throughout your core. That busy often protects us from deciding. And I want you to hear that again. Busy often protects us from deciding. Because deciding requires clarity. And clarity asks questions that we might not be ready to answer. And actually, it makes us feel uncomfortable. So why would we want to feel uncomfortable when we could just keep going through the motions of the things that we've been doing because it quote unquote works for us right now? So the questions that maybe you're not ready to decide are, what do I actually want for my life? What am I allowed to want now? What would need to change if I honored that And who might be disappointed if I did? So instead of asking ourselves those questions, we fill the space. We answer emails, we tweak a little bit, we optimize, we stay useful, we stay needed, which that is the enemy of all of us as humans, is we need to feel needed. And we stay on top of things, quote unquote, because movement feels safer than stillness. Stillness is where it gets uncomfortable. And I promise you that I say this with love because it matters. And I really, really want you to hear this. If you've been feeling overwhelmed lately, if your days are full, but something still feels off, and if you're doing everything right and yet you're still tired, where even getting enough rest or bed rotting or a spa day can't fix it, there is nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you. You're not failing because you feel overwhelmed. You're not ungrateful because you're doing things in life, but you're not happy. And you're not bad at the things that you are doing because you can't make a decision with the hard questions. You just might be out of integrity with your current capacity. And that's not a character flaw. That's just to say that that's a signal that something needs to change. So I want to be clear about something else too, because this is not made to make you feel bad. This is made to make you aware of the capacity that you truly do have. This isn't about like, I want you to do less just for the sake of doing less, or minimalizing your calendar, or burning everything down and starting over, which sometimes we maybe feel like we want to do. This is really about, where is your energy going? What is it about your life that you can ask yourself? Not where I think it's going, not where I want it to go. And the biggest one is not where it should be going, but where do you want it to go? Because a lot of us are actually running on old allocations, on old beliefs, on old things that we should be doing, old identities, old versions of ourselves that needs different things than we need right now. Because we are not the same person that we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So if we're still doing those same things, we're not being true to the person that we are right now because we're not asking ourselves the hard questions. And this truly is the heart of the work that I do. I'm helping people clean up their ambition, not shrink it or refine it. I want you to support the life that you're building instead of quietly competing with it. Because maybe you feel like you're two different people where you have one identity, but you have a secret burning inside of you for what you actually want to do and who you actually want to be. Ambition without reflection. Ambition isn't the problem. Ambition without reflection is the problem. Ambition without boundaries will always ask for more and more and more and more until your life feels full but not rich. And that's the difference. Does your life feel full but not rich in a way that makes you feel complete? So if you're going to take anything from this episode, let it be this. Do not feel bad about where you are. Overwhelm isn't a sign that you need to push harder. Sometimes it's a sign that something in your life is asking to be rechosen, or maybe redecided, or maybe reprioritized, or maybe even let go of. And you don't have to fix everything in one day. You don't even have to know the answer in one day. You just need to notice these things. Notice your capacity. Because your clarity doesn't come from more effort. It just comes from attention and making decisions. And attention is where capacity actually begins. Just notice what you're carrying and whether it still belongs to life you're living now. This is capacity, and we'll keep going with this.